Good morning. Welcome to your program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and we are broadcasting live from our home studio, literally home studio, my home studio here in Barrio Capitolio, Pasig City. And of course, we are brought to you through the facilities transmitters of Cignal TV. Thank you for joining us today. It's June 27, 2023. It's Tuesday, and I pray that all is well with you, that you have done your prayers, your expression of gratitude, your attitude of gratitude for the Lord's blessing. And please stay with us this morning as we bring you inspiration, the news, and of course, our regular interviews featuring topics, subject matters, concerns that are often your agenda. Today, we are going to be talking to two psychiatrists, mental health experts, and we are going to be discussing the impact of natural disasters, the impact of climate change or stuff like that on children. And we do hope that you would pay attention because not many people think of how things like, let's say, Taal volcano eruption, Mayon volcano eruption could seriously affect children. And I know that in many cases, it can create, prolonged disruption, yung mga prolonged volcanic activity can affect people mentally that after they come out of it, they manifest PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. So today we will discuss this para kayo malaman nyo because I remember someone telling me, Sir, para kang nasa combat zone na malayo yung putukan, hinihintay mo kung lalapit sa'yo. But there are many challenges in in calamities, disasters, and they affect mental health. So we'll tackle that. But first, let's go to our daily starter. And this is a very good reminder. Many Filipinos are loving, caring, etc. But our daily starter is a good reminder. But first, I'm reminded to say thank you po. Thank you to all of you who are tuned in, who are Cignal TV subscribers, who watch us via Cignal TV 1 News on channels 8 and 250. And of course, to those who watch us via Facebook, YouTube, the Cignal Play app, and who watch our replays or try to catch us during their free time on YouTube. Maraming salamat also to PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet. Mr. Marco Borlongan, good morning sa imo, and I do hope to see you physically, hindi yung puro text lang. And one of these days, I do hope to catch up with you just like the good old days. Talagang old days because pre-pandemic pa. Okay, but anyway, let's go to our daily starter, which comes from the philosopher, thinker Hippocrates. And it goes, before you heal someone, ask him if he's willing to give up the things that make him sick. Okay? This is a very good reminder from Hippocrates because many Filipinos love to help their friends, family, their spouse, their children, their neighbor, especially those dealing with emotional issues. And they love to, we are naturally compassionate people. So we even go out of our way, pinagtsatsagaan natin to help friends get back on their feet, okay? And whether it's an emotional problem, it's a mental problem, it's a physical problem, we really go out of our way to show our love by helping heal someone. The problem is, gusto ba nung tao? For instance, bato-bato sa langit, tamaan, magalit na ako magalit, okay? But there are people who complain about their problems with their health, that they have diabetes, that they have high blood, that they have all sorts of stress. But as Hippocrates suggested, are they willing, okay? Are they willing to give up the things that make them sick? Many Filipinos are overweight, but they're not willing to give up their rice or reduce drastically on their rice. Many people are having pulmonary challenges, but they are not willing to give up on their lifestyle, yosi, alak, etc. So it is good to ask these people, you can love, you can care, pero tanong nga gusto mo ba talagang gumaling? Do you really want to heal? If you want to, are you willing to throw away that entire pack of cigarettes, to walk away from your drinking buddies, to go and exercise? Naku po, guilty na rin ako dyan. I am vegetarian, I watch my food intake, but when it comes to exercise, ay nako, tamad gid. So this week, I'm starting again for the end time. But anyway, check, is the person you are trying to help heal willing to give up the things that make them sick? Okay, so let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. And it is June 27, 2023. The headline is, DOH Chief wants COVID health emergency lifted. Okay? With COVID no longer a serious national health issue, Health Secretary Ted Herbosa is planning to recommend to President Marcos the lifting of the state of public health emergency, but with the alert level system retained. Okay, so that is the headline of the Philippine Star. And at the top of the front page, Chodoro, government studying hosting of Afghan refugees. Okay, in case you are unaware, there has been a proposal, if not a push, from the United States, the United Nations, for the Philippines to accept refugees from Afghanistan. Now, here's the problem here. According to those who are engaged or involved in the discussions or the issue, these refugees are not your typical refugees who are victims of a war, displaced, they have nothing, etc. This particular group of refugees are former civilian workers, associates, assets of the United States in Afghanistan, or at least that's what the report is. And indications are that they are being relocated for their security and safety. Now, the issue here is, if for any reason they are not accepted in the United States because they have been given refuge by another country like the Philippines, they will end up staying in the Philippines permanently. I don't know if the Afghanis who are involved and the Filipinos would want that. Now, we have welcomed the Israelis, the Jews who were victims of World War II. So this may be a similar play of that. We don't know, but it is something for the Filipino public to be informed of. Okay. Remulla goes on 10-day wellness leave. Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla has announced his temporary absence from duty to take a 10-day wellness leave due to personal reasons. Remulla's leave of absence took effect immediately, and Undersecretary Raul Vasquez has been designated officer in charge. We do hope that Secretary Remulla is not experiencing or suffering any serious medical condition, and that his wellness leave is exactly what it is, because I have openly discussed it here on Agenda. I myself took a 10-day wellness leave last December, if I'm not mistaken, and because I was burnt out. So, mahirap po yung araw-araw, trabaho ka ng trabaho, walang pahinga, and Secretary Remulla's job is no walk in the park. So, good decision. I hope he recovers well. We pray that you will heal. Okay, meanwhile, eto po. Ewan ko kung kailan tayo makaka-recover naman dito. Gasoline, diesel prices up. Okay. In separate advisories yesterday, oil firms said that prices of gasoline would go up by 20 centavos per liter on diesel, and 1 peso 5 centavos per liter ano na ba ito? For gasoline, and 120 per liter for kerosene. I hope that oh, wait a minute. Ang gulo naman ito. Hello, mali-mali po. Gasoline would go up by 20 centavos per liter. Okay. Diesel by 105. Patay ang jeepney driver. Okay. Patay ang marami. Okay. So, yun po. So, ulitin ko. I will repeat. I will correct myself. Gasoline would go up by 20 centavos. Diesel by 1 peso 5 centavos. And kerosene by 120. Okay. Meanwhile, PNP's intelligence chief named NCRPO head. Okay. The top spook. Ewan ko ba kung bakit ganun ang tawag nila. The top spook or intelligence head of the Philippine National Police is the new chief of the police force in Metro Manila. Brigadier General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. was designated as director of the National Capital Region Police Command. Yun po. Okay. Big photo in the middle of the front page. Representatives from various government agencies led by the Commission on Human Rights and the United Against Torture Coalition Philippines joined a fun run dubbed Basta Run Against Torture in Quezon City. Okay, yan po. Okay, meanwhile, rice farmers want NFA regulatory powers back. Philippines to import more pork to address shortage. Okay, yan na po, pinagsabay ko na, no? Okay, because farm leaders in San Miguel, Bulacan are clamoring for the return of the regulatory functions of the NFA to prevent possible rice price hikes in the coming weeks, while the country needs to resort to more importation of pork to address the shortage of supply amid the outbreak of African swine fever, according to the DA. And the Secretary of Agriculture, also known as the President of the Philippines, President Marcos, plants a molave tree to mark Arbor Day at the DENR Central Office in Quezon City during the 160th anniversary of the Philippine Forestry Service yesterday. Ayan, okay. And down at the bottom of the front page, Degamo slay suspect enjoying NBI privileges. Ano ba yung NBI na yan? Parang namamasyal ang detainee. Ngayon, the Department of Justice will investigate reports that allege Degamo assassination ringleader Marvin Miranda is among those buying privileges within the NBI detention facility, according to Justice Miko Clavano, Justice spokesman Miko Clavano. The DOJ believes that detainees like Miranda are buying privileges within the NBI in the same manner drug suspect Jose Adrian Dera enjoys special privileges like going for a date, going to the mall, etc. Okay, yan na po. And last but not the least, okay, bike-friendly McDo stores. Okay, yan po. No? Nag-a-adapt na rin si McDo. Okay, bike-friendly McDo store. Nothing beats the feeling of biking your way through scenic routes to help you plan your next or first bike ride. McDonald's unveiled the 3 best routes for bikers. Manila Intramuros route for casual city, Clark Pampanga for fresh countryside, and Tagaytay route for chilly adventure photo shows. Participants of the second tour, the McDo dining at McDonald's New Valley. Okay, this reminds me of my friend Mr. Romel Sitin of Photon Cherry and United Auctioneers. Nag-biking sila dyan sa Clark, Pampanga. Maiksi lang, 100 kilometers lang. Ayun, ha? Hindi po biking yun. Parusa ang tawag to. Okay, anyway, greetings to all our friends who are watching. Thank you for joining us. And now, let's go to our guests and let's talk about kids, about children's mental health in times of natural calamities or disaster. Gabriel Malyari, Executive Producer, please roll out the Betamax.
Amid the eruption of Mayon Volcano, the physical and mental health of thousands of students in Albay are affected. Advocacy group Save the Children Philippines said that kids staying in evacuation centers are already showing signs of psychological distress. The group added that children are deprived of their education since their schools are used as evacuation centers. Save the Children Philippines has earlier called the government to further protect millions of Filipino kids from the impacts of climate disasters. How can the government improve its efforts in taking care of the children during these times of emergencies? Let's discuss that on today's agenda.
Dr. Joan Perez-Rifareal is a psychiatrist and currently board secretary of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Aside from having her residency training in general and adult psychiatry at UPPGH, Rifareal obtained her fellowship training in consultation liaison psychiatry from Tan Tock Seng Hospital in Singapore. She is also a faculty member in the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health. Dr. Bernadette Arcena is a well-known psychiatrist in the country. She treats patients at St. Luke's Medical Center in Quezon City and in the Medical City in Clark, Pampanga. Dr. Arcena is also a member of the Philippine Psychiatric Association.
Okay, good morning, doctors. Thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you for what you are going to share to our many viewers. I've done the intro already. Doc Joan, you've been on the program, I think, about 3 times. And Doc Bernadette, is this your first time or second time?
Third time.
Okay, well, welcome to our speed dating, and as you may have heard, the concern is, what happens to kids during calamities and national disasters, because a lot of people think nagpunta lang sila sa evacuation center, they play games, they sing songs. So okay lang yung mga bata. So Doc Joan, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this subject matter?
Yes, thank you very much again for having us, Sir Cito. And yes, no, itong mga these natural disasters like volcanic eruptions, it can be life-threatening, of course, and children below 18 years old are at most the most vulnerable population to have these mga feelings related to this very life-threatening na event or situation. We can see the children, because they are vulnerable, especially for the younger ones who are still in their formative ages. They can go through a series of different emotions during this time. Like an example dito, number one is fear. It's very important. It's very important to realize that they may go through a lot of mga distress reactions like fear. Somatic symptoms are very common during this time. Like they may, kasi the younger they are, they may be unable to really verbalize it, yung emotions sila and feelings. So they may present with physical or somatic symptoms. Like they may present with stomach pains, headaches, mga bodily aches and pains. They may show regressive behaviors, like for example, yung mga signs that they're scared, fearful, like thumb sucking, bedwetting. For iba naman, because yung mga nasa school age na, so because of the changes in the routine now, because they've missed school and they are in evacuation centers, definitely they may go through some distress as well when it comes to academic related concerns. Like they may feel that it's kind of lonely. They miss the routine. They miss the structure. They miss the daily activities, interactions with their classmates, with their teachers. So really, it's a lot of emotions for kids. They are the most vulnerable during these life-threatening situations. And that's why it's really important to highlight and give special attention to these vulnerable age groups.
Doc Bernadette, what are the short, medium-term, long-term effect on the psychology of these children? Because I have seen that in our parents or mga lolo during wars. Okay, people who survived wars or serious disruption often become hoarders, and they manifest or their defense by saving canned goods. They always have several sacks of rice or so many clothes, etc. But in the case of kids and natural disasters, ano yung short-term, medium-term, and long-term manifestation or effects?
First and foremost, there's the problem with displacement. Feeling ng mga kabataan, parang they have nowhere to go. And there lies the problem of being confused, of having problems with what we term as the structure. Initially, there would be symptoms wherein there would be anxiety, and then at the same time, the feeling that, ay, wala na school, or wala na akong bahay, So, these two prominent situations are very important for children. The almost 50% of children being in these difficult situations can experience anxiety. So yun yung initial and pinaka maagang symptoms.
Yeah.
Anxiety, problems with sleep. At times they would have crying episodes because they would feel like, ay, wala na yung school ko, ay, wala na classmates ko, And actually, Cito, it depends also on what age level they are in. So,
I was wondering, Doc Bernadette, I really don't know what the English term is, but I've heard a number of parents say, ang kulit ng anak ko after mangyari po yun. Parang they always want to be running around. And it reminds me of the symptoms of people who were incarcerated. I had a friend who was unjustly detained for, I think, 72 hours. The minute he got out, he went for a pointless, endless walk, kumbaga. And he just kept walking and walking. And after so many
Yeah.
hours, he came back and said, "What the hell happened to you?" And he said, "I just wanted to make sure that I was actually free." Now, for kids, ano itong sinasabi, ang kulit daw?
The kulit thing is actually looking for assurance, no? From the parental figures. Kasi syempre, no, di nila alam. And at the same time, when you are during elementary years, no, ano yan eh, hindi na nila naintindihan on what's happening. Syempre, pag teenager ka na, you have an idea, okay, this is an earthquake or
Mhm.
this is a disaster. But
So,
then, for little children, Sito, parang feeling mo talaga, okay, what's happening, especially if there were injuries in the family. Nako, nagkakaroon ng panic attack
panic
symptom.
attack.
Yes, a
Okay.
panic
Tsaka
attack.
nagiging nervyoso. Okay.
Yes.
Doc John, you can come in anytime, no? But
Yeah, sure.
yeah, what about the medium term? Ano yung mga manifestation? Because kanina sabi ko hoarding, yung isa endless walks.
Yeah.
Pero for kids, you're saying okay, anxiety, panic attack kasi akala natin yung mga panic attack na yan para sa mga Amerikano lang eh.
Yes, I agree, Sir Cito. Kasi initially, let's look at it. Kasi again, this is something life-threatening, and that's why it may explain also yung the hoarding. No? Kasi ang mindset kaagad, when there's something life-threatening, there's threat to our livelihood, the lives of our loved ones, our land, property, and other things. No? Ang concern always is survival. So that is the main concern. No? The initial reaction is really to survive. Kasi there is a threat to our safety already. And that's why it may explain the hoarding. As much as we can, we need to make sure that we have the basic necessities for our survival, like food, water, and yun yung mga una na pino-provide lagi ng the LGUs to make sure na these are provided, and shelter. That's why there is the evacuation center. And once this is addressed already, then doon na pumapasok later on the what we call the emotional distress, the psychological impact of the event, from the event. So doon na papasok, once it's met, the basic necessities are met, doon na papasok ngayon, it will gradually sink in, the fear, because of the uncertainty, na baka it may happen again. Like for a volcanic eruption, we know that there can be quakes. May mga pa ito, may mga landfall, marami pang aftershocks, etc. So there is always a constant fear. But we need to emphasize, Sir Cito, that these reactions, in fact, are normal. Kasi baka lang na we miss out na, yes, these are reactions which are normal. Because again, it's something na beyond the ordinary.
Okay.
These are extraordinary times. No? So magkakaroon talaga ng fear, anxiety, etc. And usually we try to help na in that initial
Okay.
phase of distress, and make sure that they are safe. Safety, again, is the priority, and we need to collaborate. It's a whole systems approach with the family, with the LGU, with the school, na somehow, slowly na re-rebuild na yung the structure and bring back the routine. Now, midterm, doon din papasok, we need to monitor for a month. Kasi kung continuously we notice the changes in the child's behavior, emotional symptoms for a month, if it persists, yun na kasi yung red flag, Sir Cito. We say it's normal pa in the initial stages, but when there is that persistence of the symptoms for a month, yun kasi yung what is required by the official diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, as mentioned earlier. 1 month of symptoms na prolonged and presenting now with functional impairment or disability.
Let's go for a quick break, doctors, and when we return, let's continue with the conversation. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
children and teens are reportedly more vulnerable to being traumatized by emergencies or other disasters. While some children react right away, others may show signs of difficulty much later. But with the right parental support, they're also able to recover faster. With this in mind, what are some ways to support a child who has experienced or become aware of a disaster or other disturbing event? That's another topic for today's agenda.
Okay, welcome back to the program, your program Agenda, and with us are Doc John and Doc Babes. Doc Babes, your turn. Karina, we were talking about immediate effects of stress, disasters, calamities on children, especially those who are situated in the affected area. During the break, we touched on the subject matter of death. Doc Babes, could you elaborate on that? Because everybody talks about relocation, evacuation, etc., but nobody really talks on the impact of death, whether direct in a family or in the surroundings, like let's say during Typhoon Haiyan or Typhoon Yolanda, where even we in the media were traumatized by the numbers of dead people.
Yeah, actually, Sir Cito, no, we don't realize, but media people are also victims, no, when it comes to this kind of phenomena. Sudden death is actually very difficult to deal with, no, especially sa mga kabataan, no, especially with parents. Parang nawawalan sila ng parental figures, problems with dealing, no? Why is it that my mom died or another member of the family is not around anymore? So kapag ito ay small children, they would think, no, that they are to be blamed at times, no? Especially if they were saved by that person. The guilt is really high, no? Physical, mental, and learning problems can actually be the immediate, no, effects of these disasters. It is very important na ang mga parents, no, or family members would be there, no, when there is sudden death, when there are people, loved ones, no, na nawawala sa disaster. That is very, very difficult. Mahirap nga sa elderly or sa mga adults. How much more, no, with young children. So there should always be the emotional family support to these children. Kasi may issues dyan about baka akong to be blamed, no, feelings of hopelessness may be there, no. So importante din talaga.
Should we shield the children, young adults, or should we soft paddle, as they say, around children when talking about death? Because there are some people who say, you're just delaying the inevitable. It is better that at the time it happens that you already start counseling the child and explaining the cause of death, why it happened, etc., etc. Where is the practice, or where are the professionals such as you and Dr. Joan are regarding this?
It depends on the age of the child. There would be some interpretations, different interpretations of death, no? Kapag siya ay below 5 years old, they would not have that clear idea of death. All right, when the child is below 10, so they also have different perceptions about death. If they are witness, no, to the sudden death, no, of a loved one, this should be explained on language that they do understand, naintindihan nila. Okay? So, importante then to deal with these emotions right there and then, because you have to undergo the grief, no? Importante na ma-experience yun for you to deal with, kailangan talaga maranasan mo yung feelings of denial, feelings of lungkot, no, or something unrealistic happening. You have to deal with those pangs
Mhm.
of
Yeah, Doc
adjust.
John, Joan, what's your view on this? Because there are people who are saying, saka mo na sabihin, wag nating pakita, wag nating paalam. You know, they're like protect in their mind, they're protecting. But Doc Babe said, you know, if they witness the death, explain the death right there and then. What about you, John?
Yes, I agree. I agree with Dr. Babes. It depends on the age ng bata. Kasi of course, yung the cognitive processes of younger kids is different from the how the young older kids and the adolescents may process na yung itong about death and dying. But also, what's important na I would like to highlight also is we are aware na for any child who would go through these losses, there is always that grieving process na again, which is normal. And as parents siguro, as the guardians, as the members ng school, we can help them go through the process because it's always a process of grieving. So we should not pressure them to move forward kaagad. No? Because again, there is a natural process towards acceptance of what happened, no, of the losses. And especially if the losses here in traumatic events like disasters are a lot. No? Kasi it's not just about the loss of a loved one, pati loss of their livelihood and future, yung mga pets nila na talagang sometimes sila yung who gives them that comfort sa mga bata. So talagang let's allow them to go through the grieving process and not really, there's no specific timeline for that.
Is that good therapy, John? Giving a grieving child a pet, parang transference of emotion, like you know, I don't know, Doc Babes, John,
Yes.
what are your reactions to this?
Oh, we love pets, no? Actually, pets became our therapy during the pandemic, no? We have 8 dogs, no? So, and one of our oldest died, no? So, talagang para ako namatayan ng anak talaga, no? So, tama si Joan. Having pets actually can be therapeutic, but at the same time, kung may
Yes.
mangyari sa pet mo, is also like a member of the family.
Mhm.
Actually, Sir Tito, no?
Oh,
You have to pass through the grieving process. Walang shortcuts eh. If you cut corners, you would have problems kasi the denial will be so
Correct.
marked. Tapos yung mga, hindi siya makapag-move on, lalo na dinideny nyo that something bad is happening. It is
Yes.
very
Okay.
important to teach children, no? To
Mhm.
pass through that stage. Pero, sa gabay mo.
Okay, now one thing that I often hear, particularly in the Mayon area, in terms of disaster management or evacuation procedures, I always hear of people creating an environment of entertainment. It has become part and parcel of the program that if you have long stay or you know mga 2-3 weeks or 1 month stay na predictable stay ng refugees or evacuees, the people managing the facilities always incorporate entertainment like singing contest, dance contest, Zumba, and raffle, etc., or bingo. And from this, I mean, people say it's good. It takes away the mind of those affected from the situation. But there is a separate school of thought that says at that precise time, you should take advantage of explaining to people, young and old, regarding the cause of the disaster, nature, the science, etc. And you should also use it as a empowerment episode where you can teach them on what they're supposed to do while they're at the evacuation center and ultimately how to prepare for their return, relocation, resettlement, etc. Kumbaga, one is entertainment, the other is empowerment. You know, like get them busy, get them involved in being able to do something about their situation and not just passing the time.
But breaks can be very, very important. Sir Cito, no? It's not only just empowerment, it's more of these breaks, no, ng mga sa media, sa games, that can be a good breaker for their psychological traumas.
Mhm.
Always remember, K-drama nga eh, ang daming ano dyan, nagkaroon ng, what do you call this, naging favorite nila, no?
Mhm.
So for me, it's just fine not to be okay at times, but to enjoy a little of the time can also help in the coping process.
Yeah, but isn't that delaying the coming tsunami, so to speak? Kumbaga, pumutok ang Mayon, pumutok ang Taal, etc. You were relocated, you were taken care of, fed, entertained, and then when everything is settled, sige labas na kayo, bahala na kayo sa buhay nyo, makipag-usap na lang kayo sa DSWD o DILG. And then, it hits them.
Mhm.
John.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes, we know that for disasters like this, it may take some time kasi, no, Sir Cito, for them to be able to go back to their home, especially for volcanic eruptions. We know na usually it's about 3 to 6 months wherein they have to stay in that yung evacuation centers nila. The goal, in fact, Sir Cito, of what you mentioned, yung play, coming together to socialize, is really to slowly bring back that sense of structure, routine, and it helps them, not parang to see na, yeah, we can still do so much even if we are here in this evacuation center. So it allows them to socialize, to prevent that isolation, mingle with others. In fact, for some communities, Sir Cito, what they initially do, given that we are a very religious country, no, ang starting point nila always is to come up, no, with us religious services, which would help bring meaning and purpose to their lives. Even if they face this huge tragedy, there is still a meaning. There's still a purpose for everything that's going on. So they slowly do things which would give them a semblance of how they were, no, prior to the volcanic eruption. And also we emphasize the importance of play also. So play kasi, no, like yung coming together to sing, to dance, that's exercise, but play for young children, it's very important kasi again, they are not able to verbalize their emotions well. And through play, they're able in fact to process yung emotions nila, the fear. No, it may come out from yung mga play nila or yung art therapy. They draw, they paint, sometimes they sing songs, and it's also a good way for them to express their emotions.
Okay. But what about preparing them for the inevitable? Because like Dr. Babes, you were talking about, being confined at home during lockdown, bonding with your 8 dogs, etc. But doctors, I came across I can't recall the name of the study, but I came across a study and a presenter in the US who pointed out that many corporations made the mistake of thinking that they could simply go back to work and carry on. It was the fallacy of carry on. Right after 2 years of such disastrous impact of COVID, companies thought, okay lang yan, back to work na tayo. And slowly but surely, they discovered that their people changed, the business models had changed, the environment had changed. People started to silent quit. People had started to resign, looking for jobs that allowed them to stay home, and revenge traveling became the priority instead of saving and career targeting. So, Dr. Babes, what about that? Preparing them for the inevitable.
Individual struggles are actually present and existent. So what happens, bakit pa ginagawa natin to, no? We have different types of coping mechanisms, no? And this coping actually can help us, no? This is already the process of overcoming whatever emotions and feelings that we have undergone. Based on Harvard University researches before, that during the pandemic, there would be an increased upsurge incidence of anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and violence. So nakita natin yun, it really did occur. So you mentioned about what are we going to do with this? Of course, we're just humans, but the structure really changed, no? Kaya yung mga ibang mga companies, they have their psychological assessment, they have the therapy sessions, which we did also with some companies, no, and mga banks, ginawa din namin yon, Sir Cito. So,
Mm.
it is very important na maintindihan nila, why is it that I'm feeling this way? Because actually the fourth wave, no, of the pandemic is actually psychiatric disorders.
Well, we'll go for a quick break. And when we come back, I'd like to ask the doctors, what exactly should government incorporate in their programs to deal with the impact, particularly with children, but also with adults, regarding the impact of displacement, natural disasters, calamities, okay? Because this is very important for people to get back on their feet. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to your program Agenda, and with us continuing our conversation regarding the effects of natural disasters, calamities, and displacement on children, as well as adults, are Dr. Joan Perez-Rifareal, psychiatrist, and Dr. Bernadette Arcena, psychiatrist. Okay, ladies. So let's move forward. We already discussed the various concerns regarding natural disasters. The question is, while both of you doctors were speaking, I wanted to ask, when do the psychiatrists come into the picture when relocation happens? And do we have enough psychiatrists in the local government units or provincial hospitals or disaster coordinating centers to address these kind of problems, or bunutan at hilahan?
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Doc Babes. Yes, so usually, as mentioned earlier, Sir Cito, we do not come in kaagad, right at the initial impact, because what is the priority during the time is to ensure safety of everyone first, and the provision of the basic needs like food, clothing, and temporary shelter. Now, once that is stabilized already, once that is addressed already, then we come in. So maybe in a week or 2 weeks after. But knowing that there's only a few psychiatrists, limited number of psychiatrists for our population, so we always collaborate with other groups. Like we have trained members of the Psychological Association of the Philippines, DSWD, our social services section, and we have our healthcare workers from the primary level as trained by the DOH program to address the limited numbers of mental health professionals. So we come in, and of course, a part of our work always is to do processing sessions. We call it psychosocial processing sessions. It's really to allow children and other members, other age groups to be able to verbalize, express their emotions, their thoughts about what happened. So during this time of talk session with other members of the community, then they're able to come up with plans, solutions which they think are helpful for their community, as well as they are able to feel that they are never alone in terms of the emotions that they go through. Kasi it's very important for them to feel na hindi sila nag-iisa, and it's a shared reaction. It's a shared emotion among everyone.
What about you, Dr. Babes? As far as the process is concerned, kasi pag sinabi mong, Daddy, I'm going to take up psychiatry, anak, walang pera dyan. Please lang, ang mahal magpaaral, tapos dyan ka pa, takot pa ang tao pumunta sa inyo. How accepted is psychiatry? Are psychiatrists in the realm of disaster management? Kayo ba ay kumbaga call the hotline. We need Dr. Babes here.
Actually, Sir Cito, the mind is very important. That when the mind thinks, the body feels. So ito yung palagi natin na set aside, no? The adjustment and the things that our body is suffering. At times, bakit nagkakaroon ba ng anxiety ang isang tao is because of the fact that the physical and the mental well-being are very important. I would encourage, they go into psychiatry, and actually, it's a very different world, Sir Cito. The satisfaction, of helping somebody, not having a suicidal act anymore is uplifting, nakakatulong, and please don't undermine your isip, because when the mind is good, your life would be happier.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Kasi biglang napansin mo siguro I was doing something with my phone. I was writing down that beautiful line. What the mind thinks, the body feels. And it's so true, but we're glad that we had this time with both of you doctors, because at least we're able to shed light. That's the idea on agenda, to shed light on topics that many people aren't really keen on doing. And I have to say, sometimes there are situations I myself may be uncomfortable with, but education is vital, and the information you shared today is very helpful. Doctors, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sir Cito.
Thank you, Sir
Okay,
Cito.
and yan po, sabi ni Dr. Babes, meaningful maging psychiatrist. Huwag kayong matakot. Okay. Thank you very much, and let's now go to our blessing for the week. And we go to our blessing prayer from the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verses 3 to 4. And the Lord God Almighty says, "If you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my commands, I will send you rain in its season, and the ground will yield its crops, and the trees their fruit. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe this so much. The Lord always fulfills His promise, and may this promise and prayer be true in your lives as you obey the Lord. God bless you. Thank you for watching Agenda, and please pray for Team Agenda when you do your prayers. Keep it here on One News.